Hi, my name's Josie. I'm coming to you live from the City of West Torrens Hammer Centre Library. I'm here today to present our program called Teen Book Taster. The idea of this program is to give you a taste of some new and topical teen fiction. And you'll find these in our library or on the public library system. So if there's anything that you really like from this taster, please go ahead and put it on hold. And you can even try out on Overdrive to see if we've got some things on ebook or audiobook on your own device. So you don't even have to come into the library. But we would love to see you in here, of course. Okay, let's get started with the Teen Book Taster for today. So what I'm bringing to you today are some fabulous Australian authors, some recent ones. So today's a bit of a new special. I've got It Sounded Better in My Head by Nina Kenwood and brought to us by Text Publishing. That's our cover. And I think there might also be a blue cover of this one. So it's the same book. I'm bringing this one to you today because I really loved this. It's such a light, authentic read about coming of age and getting to know who you are as a teen when your life is a little bit topsy-turvy and you've got some issues to deal with. Okay, so we've got Natalie. She's 17, so it's a good one for the older readers. She has a relationship in this book with the older brother of her best friend, and he's 19. So there is a section in this where they talk about sex, and just a bit of a spoiler alert, but also a little warning in case you're looking to steer away from that. And it's all very clean, but just to let you know, there's a conversation there that happens. And Natalie's best friends have got together, so she's had this fantastic group, the three of them, Lucy, Zach and her, and they've all been having a great time together. And then Zach and Lucy fall in love with each other, so she's become the third wheel. And this all happens at the time when her parents announce that they're actually going to be separating, and it's been on the cards quite a while, and she just has to deal with how happy everyone else is, while she's a bit like, what? Where am I in all of this? So it's a very endearing read, and I think you'll enjoy it as much as I did. I hope so. Right, this one, let's have a bit of a look. So if you're a romantic comedy, want something a bit light-hearted, but also deals with, real issues about being a teen and bordering on young adult, and family separation, what to do when your friends get together, navigating new relationships. This is the one for you. Okay. I'm forced to second guess everything. Is it movie night like always, or am I crashing their date? If I tell one of them a secret, will they automatically tell the other? If they have a fight, do I have to pick a side straight away? And can I change my side halfway through? How often exactly do they talk about me when I'm not there? I hate the thought that they might. And I also hate the thought that they might not. I would like to be one of their top 3 conversation topics, but only if they're spending a significant amount of time reflecting on my sparkling personality. Zach appears behind Lucy, sliding in his socks. Zach is the yardstick that I measure every other guy against. Zach's mannerisms, Zach's way of doing things, Zach's voice, Zach's tallness, Zach's lankiness. He's just how boys should be, because he's the only boy I've ever really been friends with, and the best one I've met. Lucy hurries down the hall to hug me. It sucks, she says. I told her about my parents last night. Lucy's a good hugger. She's my favourite person in the world, so even just seeing her face makes me feel better. I'm sorry, Zach says. Thanks, I say. I would like to say I don't want anyone's sympathy, but I generally quite enjoy my friends feeling sorry for me. Especially about this. Firstly, it means I actually have friends who care about me. Which, when you know what it's like not to have any friends at all, it means a lot. Secondly, my parents are splitting up is a refreshingly normal and acceptable problem to have. And it's far less embarrassing than I have an infected pimple that is so huge and disfiguring that it has sent me into a spiral of depression, so I won't be getting out of bed today kind of issue. So she actually has a history of lots of skin problems, and that's what that's alluding to. So she's got this group that she's accepted in, and she's learning to accept herself. But I liked Natalie. I thought she was quite fun to get to know, and I hope you'll enjoy this one too. Okay, my knock your socks off book for today, this is my main course, is Davina Bell's new book. Oh my God, The End of the World is Bigger Than Love. Now, Davina Bell has some amazing books, and this one is absolutely no disappointment. It's brought to us by Text Publishing. It's got a lovely, lovely cover. It's gorgeous, exquisite little illustrations all over it, with books and whales and the church and love and a girl with a bear. There you go. That's what that book's about. Done. No, that wouldn't be fair. It's so hard to tell you about this book without spoiling how wonderful it is. Okay, so I will try. So basically, we're in a world where we have a pandemic. Yes, she actually wrote this book a long time before our actual pandemic, but it's a world that's in chaos. There's lots of violence on the internet, and there's been some terrible things that have happened in the family in this story, and this is the telling of that story by these two identical twin sisters. Or is it? Summer and Winter tell their individual stories chapter by chapter, so we hear each of their voices, and they're both amazing characters. I don't know which one I loved best, but they were both brilliant, so easy to read. What else can I tell you? I don't want to spoil anything, it's so good. Okay, you have to know about the bear. So there's a bear who enters the story. Yeah, a bear, a real life talking bear, and you're like, what? What's going on here? Fascinating character in the story. There's also a talking whale. So this is not your average YA fiction. You're in a completely different world with completely different characters. It has that real element of fantasy, but you're in this storytelling mode of these two sisters, and you're trying to work out what actually happened and what is happening and what's going to happen next. And you just really want to get all the way through this book and just devour it. It's so readable and so fantastic. I just can't recommend it enough. You need to get this one. Okay, let's have a look inside. I did not know which part to pick you to read from. This is so hard, but let's have a bit of a look. So this is from Winter. At first the boy slept, hot and turning. He glowed like old fire. Summer said not to go near him, but it might be catching, that it might be a trick. He would crack us in half, mess us up in nasty ways. She was sure of many things, each of them like a pin in a board, trapping me under, a fluttering scrap. She said we didn't know what the world out there had become. We had been alone here for so long on the tiny island, in that tiny church, but in the night I couldn't bear it. My chest beat like wings. I went to him with a wet rag. His lips were cracked deep. They ran with blood. His tongue was a white sea sponge in his mouth. He didn't say anything, not for days, until his fever broke. He just looked. His eyes were all of the world. I wanted to stand on the feeling they gave me so no one could see it. They It made me want to be alone for the first time ever. Not alone by myself, but alone without summer. Alone with that boy under the moon, stroking his hands forever. Do you know what happens to Winter and the bear? I think you can guess. Get this one. Read this one. You'll love it. Can't say anything else. I'll just spoil everything. I don't want to spoil it for you. Okay, this one is my last one for today, and it was tricky, which is dessert and which was dessert and which was Entree today, because they're both great books with a really interesting light feel, but do have some really poignant issues, as youth fiction always seems to address. So this one is probably heavier than I'd normally say for dessert, but it deals with the big issues in a really, really accessible way. You're not going to feel bad after you read this one. Although some people did say they cried. Didn't make me cry, but it is a really thoughtful book. So How It Feels to Float by Helena Fox, and brought to us by McMillan. That's our cover. I love this cover. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that is so gorgeous. Do you like it? Yeah, so cute. And you can just think, what is going on? Why is she floating? Well, let's find out. So we've got Elizabeth, who shortens her name to Biz, and Biz is dealing with a really, really sad issue. She's lost a parent, she's in grief and a shock and just kind of floating through her life at the moment. It's of course dealing with all mental health around that grieving process. So it's a very powerful book in that way, and I think important if you've got someone you know who's grieving to recommend it to them as a read. Of course, it's a very hopeful filled book. You don't walk away feeling like, oh, that's so hard and depressing. You walk away feeling like, oh, it's tough, but she's on her way. So How It Feels to Float is about her journey through her mental illness after being so grief-stricken by the loss of her parent, and her family dynamic, how that's changed. She's got a friend that there's a big change in that dynamic, and so there's quite a bit of loss. But she also has a gain. She meets two very kindred spirits in this book. She loses her best friend, Grace, and won't be a spoiler and tell you all the details, but what you think at the start of this book is going to happen is not what this book is about. So stick with it. If you start and you think, not really what I thought, keep going. You'll get there. She meets these kindred spirits, as I said, an elderly lady that she meets in a course that she does, and she finds something that she's very passionate about and finds her thing, and she finds her tribe with this lady who connects her to someone she's met through school but hasn't really connected with and has wanted to, and that's Jasper. And the three of them have these beautiful, deep, rich relationships that are explored in this book, which I think you will get a lot from, and I recommend it for that reason. So it says in some of the reviews and conversations about this book, it's about what it's like to be here and now. And I think that's very, very true of this book. This is where this is fairly early on in the book, and where she ends up in a tricky spot with her friendship group. If only it were that easy. Turns out rejecting a friend group is a bit like detonating a school-sized bomb. Grace and I tell the posse we are leaving, and Evie's eyes turn to slits. You aren't leaving, she hisses. You are actually not welcome here. No one else says anything. Stu focuses on his sandwich. Rob coughs. Miff looks at me. then at Grace, then sideways at the air beside us. Sal sits with her lips pinched. Evie crosses her arms, lifts her eyebrows, and that's it. Our joyous, inclusive, delightful collective has made its decree. We can't quit. We're fired. How is it possible that Tim's light has smeared itself over them so easily, when I've sat with them for years and not made a touch of trouble, when I've been a good lump on the seat and nodded and smiled and drunk and sung and linked arms and swapped notes and agreed with everything I had needed to agree to? Turns out, almost nothing. It takes almost nothing at all. Just me and Tim and a June and his hand in the wrong underpants, a lie, and Grace siding with me, and our clear lack of remorse. You'd think it would take something bigger, but I guess this is how it works. Things change in an instant. 1 minute, a mountain, solid and immovable. The next, the land drops out. Trees collapse and tumble. The landscape slides into a mess of scars. The lie oozes around the school, all the way from the year 9s to the year 12s. The younger years are oblivious, which provides exactly no comfort. I am a slut. Everyone agrees. Their eyes slide off me when they see me. Except for Jasper, who never looked at me anyway, and doesn't seem to be anywhere at school. I am mental. Everyone has always suspected. Have you heard about her dad? No. Well, Evie says, I am a bitch. Everyone has heard what I did to Tim, who's like gorgeous and can surf. Where is Jasper? I don't know, because literally no one but Grace is talking to me. Has Jasper left school? Did he hear what I did? And he thought, I'm not going to school with a slut bitch-o-ho like her. Most likely. I deserve everything I'm getting. Everyone is 100% sure it is a single, inalienable truth. And Grace, beautiful, smart, funny Grace, what did she do? Did you hear what she did with Sir Jan? Yeah. And he says, Grace too. Grace deserves it. Grace, you Harrison, and Elizabeth Gray, those two... I'll stop. There's a few swear words. Anyway, that gives you an idea what happened, but you want to know what happens next, because after she's alienated from the group, she has a whole new life with this new soulmate she meets through her interest in photography, and some fascinating stuff happens there. So I'll leave you with that. How it feels to float. The world is bigger than love, and it sounded better in my head. 3 fantastic reads in youth fiction. I hope you really enjoy them. They're actually available via Overdrive, so if you're on the Libby app, you can check them out and get them as ebooks, and you can get your physical copies by placing your holds on the public library system. Thanks so much for joining me today for Teen Book Taster. I hope you got a great taste of some new teen fiction, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.